Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to Harry's Highlights. On this video, we're going to be talking about the book, The Cashflow Quadrant. Now, this book is all about understanding the different ways that people get paid. So it's designed by Robert Kiyosaki, and it's basically a quadrant broken into 4 parts to explain in a simple way how the different income sides are available in the world. So the Cashflow Quadrant is broken up to 2 sides, active and passive. Over the active side, you've basically got employees and the self-employed. Now, understand that each category has its advantages and its disadvantages, but our society needs both. So the active side is all about trading time for money. You work a certain amount of hours, get paid a certain amount of time, get paid for that certain amount of time. So on that active side, you've got employees who value security. Their whole goal is all about having someone that's going to look after, make sure they're going to get paid a certain amount of money each and every week. The other half of that quadrant is the self-employed. These people tend to really value independence. They want security, but they want to own it. So it's about really owning the job. So they can sort of have a little bit more control over like how much money they're going to make each week, but there's also the security of knowing that they will get paid each week because it's a business. So that's the active side. That's all designed around working harder instead of smarter, because it's all effort-based. You basically work more hours, get paid more money. So that's one side, which society very much needs. On the other side, you've got passive. This is where you can essentially work one time but keep getting paid for it. So you've got I for investors, which is all about people that value financial freedom. They want to be able to have control over the situation, but take it a step further. They want to be able to keep investing their money to work smarter instead of harder. So it's a lot along the lines of the self-employed quadrant, where it's valuing independence, but taking to the next level where there is a little bit more risk. Because with self-employed, you have a bit of control over, I'll open up for this many hours, I should make about this much money. With the investment quadrant, you're really taking risk and a bit of a gamble in some ways to see if you can turn that money into more money. Sometimes you lose it, sometimes you win it. So then there's the last one is business systems, where this is basically the best of investments and the best of self-employed, and combining them together, using a system that you can work smarter instead of harder to create money and have money work for you instead of you working for money. See, now there's a lot of people have their opinions on things, but you've got to always trust in facts and numbers, never opinions, because one person's opinion could be very different to somebody else's. Facts and numbers don't change. 1 + 1 always equal 2, regardless of what country I'm in, what language I speak. Opinions can really change based on the value, the beliefs, the culture. There's a lot of things that can influence that one. Facts and numbers is solid and logical. So with the business systems, like what I want to talk about with that one and understanding is that times have changed, but the information hasn't. See, everyone understands that, the active side, where you basically work a certain amount of hours, get paid a certain amount of hours for that certain amount of hours. And the other side where you work passive, which is where you work one time, continue to get paid for it. Things like investments, like you got real estate, property development, that sort of thing. Business systems, a great example of like the music industry, where you basically, the record label releases an album, they then get paid for it every time it gets played, they get paid royalties. See, what's changed is though that the way that people are doing business in this global economy is extremely different nowadays. It's no longer restricted to just a town or a city. There's plenty of people that will be sitting in the comfort of their own home doing business on the other side of the world when some people are asleep, and then it can swap again. There's this whole shift, but the information hasn't changed in that working smarter instead of harder is normally going to be a lot more profitable. So you've got to understand that with this whole shift or change in the way people are doing things, the giving comes first and the receiving comes second. Understanding that with the Cashflow Quadrant, it's about utilizing ways to work smarter instead of harder. How you can potentially do that is by teaching others how to do that same thing. You teach others how to do what you do, you can then compound your effects together, working together as a team to work smarter instead of harder. More hands makes lighter work. A problem shared is a problem halved. So if you're tackling a project, or you have a job or a contract of some kind, and you bring on somebody else, you then make that work lighter, but also you're compounding each other's efforts to then make more money. See, it's not about what you are now, it's about who you become. So understanding that with the way that things are changing nowadays, it's no longer the person that works the hardest is going to get paid the most. There's a lot of different dynamics and angles that sort of are affecting the way that success is happening now. You see companies like Google, you see companies like LinkedIn and things like that. their offices, for example, have like fountains that shoot chocolate milk. They've got bean bags instead of office chairs. The way that things are changing nowadays is very, very different. It's about understanding the relationships and communication between people, not necessarily the effort that they put in. See, for a long time, especially during the industrial age, it was all about you'd work your 8 hours, you'd work hard, you get paid for it, and the person who worked the hardest would then, potentially get promoted. Nowadays, it's about the people that can create the best relationships, the people that can have the best people skills, the people that cannot manage but lead. And with that huge fundamental shift, that huge change in it, it's created millionaires and billionaires the world has never seen before. There's things that there's boundaries and levels and ceilings that are being pushed beyond anyone's ever belief or imagination. So what we're talking about there, about how the information hasn't changed, but the times have, it's about how to make money will always be how you make money. But understand how to do things smarter is what's going to give you the advantage in life. About doing things differently and understanding, adapting to the new situation, adapting to this new way of how the world is moving is what's going to keep you ahead of the curve. And part of that understanding this cash flow quadrant is understanding that for so long we're taught the active side. We're taught go to school, get a job, work that job until you die. Exactly. You keep working it until, and then hopefully at the end of it you're going to retire with enough money. We've learned that based on like a lot of the people trying to retire now, that they get a few years into retirement and then they run out of money, even with superannuation, even with savings and things like that, because inflation is still increasing, the cost of living is still increasing. So if you to be able to just have a certain amount of money to fund the rest of your life is becoming more and more difficult. What the information that hasn't changed is that there is still ways to be able to make money. For example, passive income, doing the work one time, stepping back and having that money still coming in. Some might say that if you own a business, you can have that happen, but you've got to have people working for you. So there's a lot of trust that has to be there. When you have a business system, something that works, having money work for you, it works tirelessly in the background 24/7, 7 days a week, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't need food, it doesn't need sleep, and you have the opportunity to step away. You essentially can create a system where you can be in at least 2 places at once, because that system will work there as if you were working, and it can work in another areas if you were working there as well. Compounding your time, giving you the chance to be able to really step back and do whatever it is that you want to do and enjoy life to the fullest. But we're not taught about that passive side so much. That's something that you have to discover yourself. But the information has always been there. It's always been available in different areas. A great example was the music industry. They basically put a certain amount of hours into an album, they release it, they get paid royalties. Once they stop and retire, that money still keeps coming in. That's just one of the examples of business, like franchising. Another great example. People then own a chain of restaurants or a chain of something. Then as that restaurant or those chain of businesses keep open their doors and keep making money, they sit back and make money from it. There's all these different options and avenues there, but for a lot of time people thought it was very beyond them. But now in this day and age, we're understanding there's more and more opportunities and different avenues that you can take to create your own business system and have access to a passive income, a system that's going to put you in 2 places at once, potentially more, that gives you the opportunity to truly retire. To not retire during that retirement age that the government says, okay, now you can access your super, but a time that you feel comfortable, you feel like you're making enough and you do what you wanted to do, not what other people are telling you what you should settle for. So that's what I'm trying to understand that. But then you've really got to focus on, a lot of people have their opinions on business systems. They'll say, yeah, but that's for a certain type of people, or that doesn't work, and things like that. The truth is, the trust and numbers don't lie. The facts and numbers don't lie. They're there and available for anybody. If somebody first started McDonald's and said, that don't ever work, you've got to work the job yourself, you can't trust somebody else to do it, and look at them now, they're still around. Understanding that, like, a lot of people, go to the gym, and a lot of people expect to lose weight. And as soon as they stop going, they'll probably say, well, the gym doesn't really work, it's not for me. But the truth is, sometimes they didn't go, they didn't put the effort in. So you can't expect to have results with no effort. That's about understanding the difference between the actual facts of the situation and the opinions. So to quickly summarize on everything I spoke about here, we talked about the cash flow quadrant and how it has its advantages and disadvantages, and understanding that the society needs both. We talked about how employees value security, the self-employed value independence, investors and business systems value financial freedom. We talked about how times have changed, but the information hasn't. There's always been these opportunities to access other quadrants, but the way that we were always taught isn't always going to be what's as effective nowadays. We talked about trusting the facts and numbers, not in people's opinions. Understanding that giving comes first, receiving comes second. So for you to become more, you have to give more. So understanding that is the difference. It's not about this dog-eat-dog world, crabs in a bucket, tall poppy syndrome, I'll get ahead by standing on you. It's about a rising tide lifting all ships. It's about us all rising together, about us all succeeding, not about these individual all-stars. It's about moving forward as a clan. The vibe creates the tribe, and when you can embrace that, and when you can start to see things as all of us achieving together we will achieve more. Then I talked about, it's not about what you are now, it's about who you will become. And understanding that leaders now are based on people that can inspire, not manipulate. It's about leading, not managing. It's about moving the team together, not your individual success. So taking all of that on board will help you understand more about the Cashflow Quadrant and the importance of it, and how you can use it to utilize you to get further ahead in life. Now, we're going to be making a lot more of these videos for this training series to help you with your personal development goals. That's all for now though. So until next time, leave a comment below on what you like the most, and I look forward to speaking you or sharing more with you in the next episode of Harry's Highlights.